to examine the association of mother's nutritional before and during pregnancy with birth weight of the babies. Now, the results of this study showed that the mothers or the women who consumed more green leafy vegetable, fruit, and milk before and during conception gave birth to babies who were heavier. Now, this was an observational study. So, on the basis of what the women said, the analysis revealed these results. So, then later, a randomized controlled trial was conducted, which was known as the Mumbai Maternal Nutrition Project. Now, this project was a randomized controlled trial of a food-based supplementation in the women living in slums of Mumbai. The main objective of the study was to examine whether consumption of micronutrient-rich snack which contain green leafy vegetable, fruit, and milk in women 3 months prior to conception and throughout pregnancy is associated with neonatal health outcomes. So for this study, we basically divided women into two groups, control group and experimental group. This control group was given macronutrient rich snack which was low in micronutrient, and the treatment group was given a snack which was rich in micronutrient, and the snack consumption started 3 months prior to conception. When the lady was thinking of conceiving, that time only we started supplementation. So it was 3 months prior to conception, and then throughout pregnancy the lady ate the snack. Now, the snack was designed to shift women's green leafy vegetable, fruit, and milk intakes from the lowest quartile to the highest quartile of intakes, which was observed in the Pune maternal nutrition study. So, accordingly, the snack composition was designed. Now, the results of Mumbai maternal nutrition study showed that the daily consumption of this snack, which contained green leafy vegetable, fruit, and milk, increased the birth weight and the anthropometric measurements. We also did a study to check whether the nutrients like vitamin A, folate, and all were associated with increase in birth weight, but we did not see any association with that. So it was, we thought that maybe the PUFA, omega-3, basically polyunsaturated fatty acid, the maternal polyunsaturated fatty acid could have led to increase in birth weight of the child. Now, what is polyunsaturated fatty acid? They are basically two types of fatty acid, omega-6 fatty acid and omega-3 fatty acid. Linoleic is the parent essential omega-6 fatty acid, and alpha-linolenic is the parent essential omega-3 fatty acid. Now, these are essential because they cannot be synthesized in the body and they are obtained only from the diet. Now, dark green leafy vegetables, flax seeds, walnuts, kidney beans, canola, and soybean oil are the dietary sources of alpha-linolenic acid, and oils such as safflower, sunflower, cottonseed, and soybean oil is a rich source of linoleic acid. Now, as you can see, alpha-linolenic acid and linoleic acid both compete for the same set of enzymes to convert to its metabolically active arachidonic acid or docosahexaenoic acid. Okay, now docosahexaenoic acid is important because it plays a major role during pregnancy and in the postpartum period. Okay. Now we did some review of literature to see the intervention studies. Okay, we could find some ALA intervention studies in animals, okay, wherein they never used green leafy vegetable as a source of ALA. Then we did some intervention studies in humans, and we found that they used DHA, or only one study used green leafy vegetable as an intervention, but it was given to hypercholesteremic patients and the compliance was not recorded. So the results of the supplementation studies showed that there was some studies reported conversion of ALA to DHA, and some studies reported limited conversion of ALA to EPA but not to DHA. The sample size in the studies was small. They did not collect the dietary data. Compliance was not recorded. Whether the subject is having that supplement or not, that was not recorded. Also, studies were conducted in males. So the findings cannot be extrapolated to other groups such as in infants, elderly, women, or pregnant women. Okay. Now we'll come to the role of PUFA during preconception, pregnancy, and in the postpartum period. Now during preconception period, PUFAs are important because adequate PUFA stores will improve the fertility. Okay. Now if the woman's body is well nourished and it is ready for conception. Now during pregnancy, adequate PUFA stores will help in implantation, in the regulation of cell and tissue function, in the fetal brain and nervous system development. And in the postpartum period, PUFAs are important component of the breast milk and they are required for infant brain development. So the preconception period is the ideal opportunity for optimizing the health of mother-to-be. Okay. Then we checked at the fatty acid status of the non-pregnant women. We did a review to check and we found that there are very few studies which reported the fatty acid status of non-pregnant women, but those studies were from USA, UK and Australia. We did not find any study in India. And those studies reported about the importance of socioeconomic status, anthropometric and obstetric parameters which influence fatty acid status in women of India and women of reproductive age. Also, one study showed inverse association of PUFA with metabolic syndrome. In India, we found studies only on pregnant women, but not in the non-pregnant women. So no information was available about the fatty acid status of non-pregnant women in India. So now coming to the need of the study, we know that the 30% of the Indian population is vegetarian. Overall, the fish intake in India is very low. Also, the studies have shown that ALA to DHA conversion rates vary between 0.5 to 9%, but the conversion rates are better in women compared to men. Okay. Now, we saw the increase in birth weight in the MMNP infants, and those increase in birth weight could be related to improved maternal DHA status. Studies have also reported association of the the positive association of maternal DHA with the birth weight of the child. However, we did not find any studies which examined the effect of dietary snack containing green leafy vegetable on the DHA status of the women. Therefore, we hypothesize that micronutrient-rich dietary supplement, which is a snack made from green leafy vegetable, fruit and milk for 12 weeks to a woman of reproductive age from urban slums will improve the erythrocyte fatty acid profile. The aim of the study was to examine the effect of micronutrient-rich dietary supplementation on the fatty acid profile in women living in urban slums. The objective of the study was to assess the baseline frequency of consumption of various food groups and nutrient intakes in non-pregnant women living in slums of Mumbai, to examine the fatty acid content of the dietary snack, and to investigate the effect of dietary snack consumption for 12 weeks in non-pregnant women on the erythrocyte fatty acid profile before and after supplementation. So coming to the material and methods, the study was approved by Bharati Vidyapeeth Medical College Institutional Ethics Committee, and since the data was collected from the Mumbai subjects, we also obtained ethics approval from Institutional Ethics Committee of Grant Medical College and Sir J.J. Group of Hospitals. The study was an extension to the Mumbai Maternal Nutrition Study, and it was conducted in the Shivaji Nagar area of Govandi. Now, this study was conducted in collaboration with NGO Apnale, which has 3 centers in the Shivaji Nagar area of Govandi, and those 3 centers were Padma Nagar, Shanti Nagar and Rafi Nagar. This is an idea of how the slums were. This is the narrow lane and you can see. Now, coming to the study design, we first basically, the health workers did the sensitization of women by going to each house and asking whether they have non-pregnant women who are interested to be part of the study. We then conducted meetings with the interested participants and explained them the study objective. Then once they approved to be part and consented to be part of the study, then we recruited the women. And once they were recruited, the baseline data was collected, which include anthropometric measurements, dietary data, and blood was collected. Now, after the baseline data was collected, women were randomized into two groups, control and experimental, on the basis of BMI and age. So that we have women of similar BMI in both the groups and women of similar age in both the groups. They were not different in terms of age and BMI. And on those basis, the women were divided into treatment and control group. And then the supplementation started and we recorded the consumption of the supplement. Then after 12 weeks, the supplementation stopped and we basically collected the data on anthropometry, diet and blood. Demographic and anthropometric parameters were, the inclusion criteria were women should be single or married but non-pregnant at the time of the study, should not be exclusively breastfeeding, should enroll only if they intended to remain in the study area for 3 to 4 months. And we collected demographic information like age, education, occupation, standard of living using questionnaires. Anthropometric measurements included weight, height, body mass index, and circumferences. Dietary data was collected using the food frequency questionnaire, and we developed a special food frequency questionnaire which had 238 food items, and the reference period was last 7 days. Women had to indicate the frequency of and the portion size of the food consumed in last 7 days, and the scores were calculated. Then women were randomized by block stratification based on age and BMI. Then we further divided each group into two groups to give it a total of 4 groups, 2 treatment and 2 control for continuous tracking. Just the 2 treatment groups were similar and 2 control groups, there was no difference, but just to give it a extra blinding, we purposely created it into 4 groups. So after randomization, women were given color-coded identity cards corresponding to the color-coded packaging for the snacks. You can see in the image, the yellow and green are the control snacks, red and blue were the treatment snacks. Now, the quantity of fresh green leafy vegetable which was used for the snack was based on the amounts which was accepted by the women, maintaining the taste. So we developed many snacks and we did a pilot study whether women will be eating it or not, and on the basis of that the snack was developed, the amount of GLV was decided. So the final treatment snack contained 20 to 25 grams of green leafy vegetable, and then 4 grams of dried fruit and 12 grams of whole milk powder. Okay, and then control snacks were made from potato, onion, which had low micronutrient content, and we developed a variety of treatment and controlled snacks so that there is no boredom. So this is an example of the treatment snack and the control snack. So these are the ingredients of the treatment snack and these are the ingredients for the control snack. The nutrient content of the supplement, as you can see, the treatment snacks had iron, beta carotene, as vitamin C and folate. It was rich in these micronutrients compared to the control. Okay. Now the snacks were prepared each day and they were fresh in the study kitchen between 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Then they were transported to the study area. Snacks were provided to the women at one of the 3 nearby centers between 3 to 6 p.m. from Monday to Saturday. And women were asked to consume the snacks 6 days per week in addition to their regular diet. The time of 3 to 6 was selected purposely so that it doesn't interfere with their meals. It doesn't interfere with lunch or dinner. Okay. And snack was formulated to improve the diet quality and not the intake of specific nutrient. Now snack consumption and recording. The supplement consumption was recorded. We did not give the snack to women at home. We asked them to come to the centers wherein the project clerk recorded the snack consumption. So if the lady ate full snack, it was recorded as 1. If the participant consumed more than half but not full snack, it was recorded as 0.5. And if the participant did not consume or less than half or did not consume, it was recorded as 0. Okay. So compliance was defined by the proportion of snack consumed out of the 72 snack provided over the 12 weeks period. Participants were defined as compliant if they consumed at least 50% of the snack in the 12 weeks period. And project clerk who recorded the snack consumption was not aware of the snack's composition. She was blinded to the snack composition. Then the nutrient intakes were calculated. There were 164 items on the FFQ which were prepared at home, and so we basically asked 2 women from the community to come and cook those recipes, and then for each recipe we obtained the ingredients, raw weight and the cooked weight, and then the per serving size, and accordingly the nutrient content was calculated. Okay. Now coming to the fatty acid content of the snack, each control and treatment snack was individually evaluated. Okay, and the treatment was given, lipid was extracted, and then the fatty acid content was analyzed using gas chromatography. We also checked the absolute alpha-linolenic acid content in the snack, because green leafy vegetables are a good source of omega-3 fatty acid. So we basically checked the exact ALA content of the snack also. In biochemical parameters, we collected non-fasting blood samples at baseline as well as after 12 weeks of supplementation, and then we analyzed the fatty acid content from the blood. Statistical analysis. First, we did the power calculation, and the power calculation stated that we need at least 82 women in each group to give 90% power to the study at 0.05 significance level. Data was analyzed using SPSS, and these were the different analysis we did. Now coming to the results of the study, this flowchart shows the participant flow. So we randomized 222 women, out of which 108 were allocated to the treatment group and 114 were allocated to the control group. And by the time the study completed, we had baseline and 12 weeks blood of 82 subjects, and in the treatment group, we had 85 subjects. Okay. Now coming to the participant characteristics, there was no significant difference between the subjects in the treatment and control group in terms of any such parameters, but we saw that the subjects in both the groups, they were basically lighter and shorter. And then most of them were basically secondary educated. Till 7th or 8th they had studied, and once they attained menarche, they were basically asked to stay at home and not go to college, school or college. And then majority of the subjects were basically not working. Now coming to the anthropometric measurements at baseline and after 12 weeks of supplementation. So we saw that basically when we compared the baseline with 12 weeks and in the treatment as well as control group, and we compared treatment with control, we saw that there was significant increase in the treatment group compared to the control group, and in the BMI also increased in the treatment group compared to the control. Okay. Then coming to the dietary intake, to the median intakes of food at baseline and after 12 weeks, we saw that there was no difference. This basically is the dietary intake. This does not include the snack consumption. So we saw that there was no significant difference in terms of food group intake between the treatment and control group.
Harsha ma'am, yes? 5 minutes more, please.
Yeah. Okay. Now we saw that energy intakes, we calculated the macronutrient content, and we saw that it was low in both the groups. Okay. Now during the period of 12 weeks, there was increase in both the groups, but between the two groups, there was no significant difference. Now coming to the fatty acid content of the snack, when we analyzed the fatty acid content of the snack, we saw that the alpha-linolenic acid was higher in the treatment group, and there was basically LA was higher in the control group. Okay. So the absolute ALA, the exact amount of ALA in the treatment snack was 54 mg, and in the control snack it was 4 mg. Now the compliance was 89% in the treatment group and 91% in the control group. Now coming to the erythrocyte fatty acid result, we saw that after 12 weeks of supplementation, the ALA content did not change in both the groups. The EPA also did not change, but there was significant increase in the DHA content, which is the main metabolite, which basically ALA converts to DHA. So it was increased in the treatment group compared to the control group, and there was also significant increase in the total N3 fatty acid in the treatment group. So this showed that ALA was basically converting to DHA in the treatment group compared to the control group. This is the basically box plot showing the effect. So blue represents the baseline, green represents the 12 weeks, and this is control and intervention. So there was no change in ALA, but there was basically significant increase in the DHA after 12 weeks and increase in the fatty acid after 12 weeks. Okay. There was no change in omega-6 fatty acid and the total N6 fatty acid levels. We also ran an ANCOVA model, okay, to see whether this is by chance or we found that the treatment group was a significant predictor of post-supplementation erythrocyte DHA when we adjusted for age, BMI, standard of living, and compliance status, and dietary GLP and fish intakes. So the key findings were that the increase in the proportion of erythrocyte DHA of 25% of baseline values in the treatment group compared to the control group. Treatment group significantly decreased omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acid ratio, and it was a significant predictor of post-supplementation of erythrocyte DHA in a fully adjusted model. And treatment snack at higher ALA, so this could have led to increased conversion of alpha-linolenic acid to docosahexaenoic acid, and that might have increased the DHA levels in the treatment group. And controlled snack has higher linoleic acid, which might have limited the conversion of ALA to DHA, and therefore we did not see an increase in the erythrocyte DHA in the control group. So to conclude, daily consumption of a snack containing green leafy vegetable, fruit, and milk improved the women's erythrocyte DHA levels. Strength of the study was, it was a randomized study, sustained intervention under supervision for 12 weeks with high rates of compliance. Food-based intervention was used because subjects eat food and not capsules. Compliance was better in food-based intervention than with capsules. And we used locally available foods which are easily available and culturally acceptable. Limitations, we should know the exact amount of ALA from the women's diet that would have been desirable. And in food-based intervention, it is very difficult to understand which components were actually beneficial. Innovative aspect of the study, it was the first study to measure the effect of randomized intervention, which was designed to increase the intake of green leafy vegetable on the fatty acid. The study design was a strength, and we had interaction with the participants. Compliance rates were high, so this proves that food-based approaches can be used. Now, Indian Council of Medical Research recommends fish intake of 100 to 200 grams per week. However, 30% of the Indians are vegetarian, and so GLP could be used as an important source for improving the DHA status in population with low fish intakes. And further studies are needed to examine the enzymes involved in the fatty acid biosynthetic pathway, and some longitudinal studies would be ideal to understand the clinical relevance. For this study, I had two publications. I received the Ramanathan Award for Best Oral Presentation and travel grants to present my work. This study was presented in 3 international conferences and 2 national conferences. So I would like to thank my study participants, my guides, the NGOs who supported me, the staff and colleague at MRC CSSC, the Wellcome Trust for funding the project, and family and friends. Thank you.
Thank you, Harsha ma'am, for that wonderful presentation. I request the teachers to please note down their questions if they have any. We can have the question answer round at the end of the second presentation. We have next presentation on heart and promotion among youth by 2 of our very well-known faculty members from the TSAD department. Mrs. Sugandha Lad, who is associated with our college more than 3 decades. She joined the college in 1984 and was coordinator for the diploma in home science from 1998 to 2000. She was awarded MPhil in 1995, and then in 2010, she joined the degree college. Madam was NSS in charge for 7 years and is actively involved in many community outreach programs. She is a member of BOS Examination Cell, and presently she is Deputy Controller of Examination under Autonomy. Coming to publications, she has presented and published 7 papers at national and international conferences and has also received prize in one of the international conference. She also has published 1 chapter in a book. Along with Sugandha ma'am, we have none other but our own STRIDE project coordinator, Dr. Pradnya Amre, who was awarded her PhD in December 2019. She has been working as assistant professor in TSAT department since 2012. Before this, she worked as a lecturer in LJNJ College. She has also worked in the capacity of senior technical executive in Huntsman International India Private Limited for 6.5 years, where she received Best Technical Executive Award in 2005. Dr. Pradnya has published 6 research papers and has also contributed 1 chapter in one of the ebooks. So over to Sugandha ma'am and Pradnya ma'am for the next presentation.
Shall I start?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So good afternoon, one and all present here, which has won award at international conference at Baroda, where presented this paper at MS University. Awareness and promotion among youth, by myself and Pradnya. Next, Pradnya.
Yeah.
The objective of study was to assess the knowledge and awareness about Khadi among youth, to study the acceptability of Khadi by youth, to encourage youth to design garments of Khadi and present it, to create publicity and awareness about Khadi for its promotion among youth. To introduce Khadi, as all of you know, it was introduced by Mahatma Gandhi ji. Khadi is a hand-spun, hand-woven material. Khadi is very closely associated with India's freedom movement. Gandhi introduced Khadi in 1920 as a political weapon to boycott the foreign goods. After independence also, Khadi remained associated for a long period to the political leaders, as it was used mainly on the 15th August and 26th January and was used by politicians. So the use of Khadi was very restricted or limited. Then KVIC was established in 1957. KVIC is Khadi Village Industry Corporation. Then Khadi started becoming more a fashion fabric. The makeover from freedom fabric to fashion fabric, as most of the designers started using Khadi for their fashion shows and all. In 1985, Khadi regained its fame and really earned a relevant position in Indian textiles and fashion industry when designer Devika Bhojwani revived the textile by using pastel and vibrant colors, finer cloth, better designs, and wide range of prints. Launch of Swadeshi label was in 1985. Display of her designs in KVIC fashion show in 1989. Followed by designer Ritu Kumar in 1990. She presented her first Khadi collection. You can see the variety of fabrics and the texture produced in the fashion show. The Indian fashion industry that promotes the fabric on the global platform. Then Mr. Sabyasachi Mukherjee, a well-known designer, started using Khadi. In 2011 and 12, a skillful use of Khadi he did in his fashion shows. The exhibition of contemporary designs named Inspired by India in London. The Winter Festive Lakme Fashion Week in 2011, finer version of Khadi was used. Normally, if you see Khadi fabric, it is rough, it has a rough texture and slightly thick material. But the material which is used by this designer is specially woven and specially designed with the different colors and different prints. Then our own Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, Narendra Modi, through Man Ki Baat, he promoted Khadi. And many of Indian celebrities also started promoting Khadi through the fashion shows. Then Air India designed their costume, uniform through Khadi material. And IIT Bombay placed an order of 3,500 robes for their convocation ceremony. So this was a real promotion for Khadi fabric on all the platforms. Now some of the advantages and disadvantages of Khadi fabric. Advantage, it's a self-textured fabric because the type of yarn which is used give it a particular texture, rough texture and uneven texture. Lightweight and airy and durable fabric, suitable in winter as well as in summer. It can be blended to create variety with different types of fibers like polyester, silk, viscose rayon, and variety of fabric can be produced. It is extremely eco-friendly, supports the rural artisans to earn their livelihood, and wide range of end uses can be done from Khadi fabric. It's not only apparel, it is used for furnishing, it is used for curtains and so many other things. So there is wide end use available with Khadi fabric. Disadvantages, it gets easily crumpled or creased, requires a lot of maintenance and care. It is expensive compared to other woven fabrics, and rate of production is low compared to other fabrics. And there is a shrinkage and lot of bleeding of colors. Color runs a lot with Khadi fabrics. In spite of all these efforts, we observe that consumers are not getting attracted to Khadi due to its political tag, limited choice of colors, rough texture, cost, low availability in the market because we have limited outlets for Khadi. Not easily accessible, no due publicity is given, and limited incentives or attractive offers because you find the Khadi fabric gets offer only during October and not any other period of the year. So there is limited incentives or offers given to promote the sale of Khadi fabric. Then further will be taken by Pradnya. We had encouraged the students to approach KVIC, and KVIC had provided material. The students had designed their own garments and then stitched their own garments, and they had presented in fashion show. So further study will be taken. We also had conducted a survey. The results will be discussed by Pradnya. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Sugandha, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes.
To further investigate the awareness about Khadi among youth, the survey was undertaken. The questionnaire was prepared, which was based on the awareness about Khadi fabric and its related aspects. Target group of 50 students aged from 16 to 22 years of age was selected as respondents for survey. And the second part of methodology included the promotion of Khadi through the different activities which are conducted at departmental level, such as fashion show, awareness lectures, and so on. The data collected through survey was analyzed and represented in the form of percentage of respondents. So the first question was on about the introduction of the Khadi. Who introduced Khadi in India? 90% of the respondents knew that it was introduced by Mahatma Gandhi ji. Now, more than 90% of the respondents knew that they were aware about that Khadi is an eco-friendly fabric. When the question was asked about the varieties of Khadi material, 60% of the respondents knew about the variety of cotton Khadi, and 20% of the respondents also knew about the polyester Khadi and silk Khadi variety. When they were asked about why there is a limited use of Khadi, the reason pointed out was mainly the 40% of the respondents said that it is costly, and 40% of the respondents also said that it has a limited variety. When they were asked about the number of Khadi garments which are there in their wardrobe, more than 40% of the respondents had around 1 to 2 pair of Khadi garments in their wardrobe, and around 40% of the respondents had no khadi garments. When they were asked about the promotion of the khadi, as Sugandha ma'am has already specified that the promotion of the khadi is done during only Mahatma Gandhi's 2nd October, that is Jayanti, Gandhi Jayanti occasion. So they were asked about the different occasions. So many of the respondents, 80% of the respondents knew that it is promoted during Gandhi Jayanti, that is 2nd October. Next part of methodology was promotion of khadi through different activities conducted at departmental level. So this is a picture of the fashion show where students had used khadi material, which was sponsored by KVIC, and the garments were designed and stitched by students. This was the fashion show was performed in inter-collegiate competition, which was highly appreciated by judges, and it had won first prize. And these are some of the events and the programs through which the khadi and handloom materials are promoted, and the awareness lectures are conducted at departmental level. So here in this picture, you can see the experts from KVIC are showing the hands-on demonstration to the students on spinning of yarn on charkha. These are also some of the lectures. Apart from khadi, we organize the lectures, awareness lectures with Silk Mark organization also. So to conclude, it was concluded from the study that though there is awareness about khadi and its attributes among youth, but it requires more efforts to make khadi more popular among youth. Also, Government of India is taking efforts to make khadi more popular, and KVIC is working towards its research and development. Also, leading Indian fashion designers are trying to promote khadi as a fashion fabric through their collections. But still the fact remains that khadi has a long way to become a major part of common man's wardrobe. This is the paper which we had published in online journal. This has received 3 citations so far. Thank you.
Thank you, Sugandha ma'am and Pradnya, for that wonderful presentation on khadi. Now I request the teachers to ask the questions. First, let us have questions for Pradnya and Sugandha ma'am, and then we can have questions for Harsha. Any questions?
No questions.
I think when they say no questions, it either shows how much attention people have been paying or
Or they are not paying attention at all.
yeah, okay.
I want to ask one question, ma'am.
Yes.
Why can't we use, Sugandha ma'am, why can't we use permanent dye for khadi clothes, I mean, material?
Why can't you use
Permanent dye.
permanent?
Permanent dye, you know, like it bleeds a lot. You know, the water, I mean, this khadi clothes, it bleed a lot. So why can't we use permanent dye, something that it does not bleed at all?
They are working on it, but they haven't been successful still.
Because of the material cannot use.
Yeah, that is one of the biggest drawback of khadi fabric, that it runs color.
Okay.
They have been trying different types of dyes and all. They are working on it, but still they are not successful yet.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
I was just thinking, can the department take this little further? And since we are planning to train students through Stride in research too, can it be taken a little further, the whole topic of perceptions, the use of it among the student community, and bring in a little more of research component into it? If the department...
We will try, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll try.
Yes, ma'am. We can have collaboration with KVIC or any
It can be done, ma'am. It can be done.
It can be done.
It can be done because if we are going to train students from every department and basic research tools, then those students can be given some component where they use those research tools, and then it can become a departmental publication.
Surely we'll try,
Yes,
we'll
ma'am.
work on
Yes.
it.
One more
We
question
can
is,
also work on fastness properties of khadi dyed material, so
Dyeing
that
and
how to improve the fastness and how it can be make more
color first.
good, more better basically, more color fastness.
They're
Better
already
color.
doing the research on this, and they have been successful also.
you can
Very few
also use,
khadi fabric runs color, otherwise it is fast.
you
In
can
fact,
also try blending it, no? There
They
are some
are they are
blends
coming
which,
up with blends. No, they are blending it with polyester,
because
with rayon, with silk.
yes,
They
that
have
would
come up
save
with
the
different
day,
blends.
because I don't think we should completely cut it off just because it's too costly or something. But blends definitely do work.
Blends are already there. They are blending already cotton, silk, woolen silk and silk, rayon and cotton. They are doing it.
Yeah, blends are available, and
That is
even
modal fiber is also blended. Yes, and if
okay.
polyester is blended, some camel hair fiber is also blended in some part of our country
Yes, yes.
in
Okay.
khadi. Yeah.
Further, we want to do on other khadi products which they have come up with.
That is nice.
Recent developments in khadi we can do.
Hmm.
Recent developments and adaptation of the khadi among youth, something like that.
Sugandha and Pragna,
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
and Mala is also there. I just wanted to ask, is it possible to make one day in a week to wear khadi compulsory for everybody in the college?
They don't mind trying
One day
it.
in a week, one day in a
One day
month,
in a
maybe
week.
it is possible.
No, one day in a week.
In a week, I
Students,
don't know
ma'am,
how what response
Yeah.
we will get.
students that at least on national holidays.
Yeah, they must wear on national occasions.
That is hardly twice in a year. So if you can think about it,
Maybe
it
on
will
maybe
also.
on a handloom day and on 2nd October, well, I mean, we might ask them. We can ask them to wear it. Or pen student.
actually, if you relate it to the idea of self-reliance, being Indian, if you bring in those connections, rather than this is only their students related to independent movement and just Gandhi, but if you can bring in the other connotations,
Okay.
I think that what you'll have to do is have more awareness program on how it is
Hmm.
very symbolic. It was started as a very symbolic movement, and the
Yeah.
importance of that symbolism even today.
I, I,
Yes. Yeah.
I,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
also think this is absolutely allergy free. Khadi, I think, is allergy free, and if it can be propagated as
Yes,
baby
yes.
friendly fabrics or some kind of fabrics, or old
Yes.
age friendly fabrics or something like that, then we can propagate it still further.
But mainly the awareness about the original khadi material should be made, because there is a lot
Yes.
of imitation material is also available, because I see a lot of students coming and showing me that as a khadi material, but which is not many times.
No. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that awareness should be made about original khadi material. So how to identify that material is also important.
Any questions for
Okay.
Sugandha?
Well done, Pragna and Sugandha.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now we can have questions for Harsha.
Harsha, I'm asking you a question. Suppose it's a monsoon time, and eating green leafy vegetables is a very dangerous proposition because of the kind of infections it can give. So, what is your idea in giving? What kind of food would you give in the monsoon season?
Ma'am, basically in the MMLT we tried it like it was for many years. So we saw that actually during rainy season, there was a decline in the intake of green leaf vegetable and getting good quality. So basically, that's why we are insisting that every day see to it throughout the year you are eating some amount of green chutney or some mint chutney, so that you are basically giving some stores to the body. But rainy season, yes, that is a big hurdle. The season is a big hurdle.
So during that time, suppose I'm pregnant or probably I'm in my third trimester, what will you advise? If I can't have green leafy, then what will you advise me to have?
I will advise you to have walnuts, some amount of flax seeds, and then if
I
you are
can't afford it.
non-vegetarian,
You did your study in a slum. Come on.
yes,
I
ma'am.
can't afford it. Then what? Then what?
So that is why actually, ma'am, this DHA plays an important role right from preconception stage. So that is why we are saying keep adequate stores right from preconception stage. Don't take it right at the end only. Start preconceptionally only thinking about taking, giving your body adequate stores.
Questions? Harsha ma'am, Alka ma'am is asking, can they take beetroot?
Yes, but beetroot is not a source of omega-3. They can take beetroot, yes. But beetroot basically contains other micronutrients, not omega-3.
Harsha, I would like to give the same suggestion that I gave to the textiles department. Is that the teachers, once the lockdown is over, definitely will not have too much of time to put into research projects. But now that we are training students or using certain tools, is to take the help of student assistants and to help them to put these tools into practice, whatever they have been trained by the center. So if the departments can give suggestions of possible research projects, and maybe the STRIDE committee can then try to see how they can train students in a very specific manner. For example, if this particular project, what kind of tools would the students from nutrition and dietetics require? Or the students from textiles are going to do something in Kadi, then what kind of tools will they require? And I feel that in that way, we can really get something going and have institutional publications at the end of the year.
Yes, ma'am, I'm ready to help and guide students, and we can work on formulating a study. And
Yes, ma'am, we can do it. Stride team will do it, ma'am. We will plan.
Of course, it will not be possible unless the departments also come together and say that this is a possible topics that we have thought of. And we would like to coordinate and work on this topic, and then we'll involve the students in working in particular topics.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, you also suggested previously that this time we will not be having actually the internship. So those 2 months or that 1 month also can be utilized, or students can be given such projects.
Yes, and then there will be a concrete result at the end of it, rather than giving them 22 separate review papers to write as part of internship. It's into groups, and you're getting something very concrete out of it. And this would apply equally to the BCA department, because as of now, you do not really have a research component. So I'm looking forward for suggestions for them from the BCA department also.
I would like to thank all the 3 speakers of the day today, and a big thank you to all the teachers who have joined today for the session.
Shilpa?
Thanks, Shilpa.
I think that we had Sudha and her team who were supposed to present. When are they going to do it?
Ma'am, Sudha has said for next time, ma'am. Sudha is there today because, ma'am, I inquired with her. So she told, Sudha, can you update, ma'am? Ma'am, she said she will do it during the next stride session.
Okay, so who is there with Sudha?
I think Snehal.
Okay. Sudha
Ma'am,
is
and
here.
next, oh yeah, Sudha is there.
Hello.
Sudha, you
Ma'am, we'll do it
Ma'am,
during the next session, ma'am. For sure. Myself and Snehal will do it.
Yes, ma'am, we'll do it in the next session.
yeah.
yeah, okay.
Ma'am,
So
with
yes,
your permission, can I have one important announcement regarding exam?
Yeah, just 1 minute, sir. We have we have Sudha and Snehal. I think there can be one more group from BCA who can volunteer, so that we also get to know something from the area of computer studies. You can get back to the Stride team, but it can be something specific. It can be something general also. So please get back to the Stride committee so that we can have 2 presentations from BCA for the next round.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Ma'am, and on 1 minute, and on 25th September, that is next to next Friday, we are planning to have session by a resource person for faculty members. Under Stride.
Pradnya, I will just confirm with you. You can
Okay.
go, but if we are having our governing body meeting,
Mm-hmm.
then Anu ma'am, myself, Kirti ma'am, we won't be able
Okay.
to attend it.
Ma'am, on 25th September,
Yeah,
afternoon. Okay.
most probably we will have our governing body meeting on that day, but that doesn't matter. You can go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Ha, sir.
Yeah, Kanso, your announcements.
Yeah, ma'am. Teachers, university may tell us anytime to collect data about our college online exam preparations. University always tell us at last moment and give us less time. So we decided to collect this data and keep ready before university asks. Referring Mumbai University form, Palamam suggestion, Rikisha prepared one Google form. This form give full data of our all classes, first year, second year, third year of 1920 batches. We request all teachers to ask students to fill this Google form, and we want your suggestion. If anything left, we can add. I like to show this form. Just a minute.
Kanso, before you show the form,
Yeah, ma'am.
I had a meeting with the HODs, but very briefly, I'd like to share with all the other staff.
Okay, ma'am.
The final exam will start from October 1st. It will be conducted via online mode. Students will have the option of giving it from home. If they don't have the facilities to give it from home, then we can make arrangements for them to give it from college. They can also have the facility of arranging to go to a computer center or borrowing laptops, going to a friend's house, going to a relative's house, so that they avoid traveling a long distance. Although we are trying to get permission for them to use the train. We need to know, this is very important, that's why Sir has made this form. How many of them have access to laptop and computers with cameras? Although it was said in the meeting that they may be allowed to use smartphones, I doubt it. Our experience with MKCL, that for the Proctor software, cameras are absolutely essential. And so in the last minute, if they say only a laptop or desktop with a camera, students may not be in a position. That's why we need to have this data. Any student who has not responded, this is the responsibility of the HODs. It is your responsibility if you have 25 students to ensure 25 respond. If 23 have responded and 2 have not, then it is your responsibility to either call them through the office, contact them, message them and find out where they are and why they have not responded, because this data is very, very important. Once we know how many of them don't have the facility, then we need to make arrangements for this to be done at college. Exams will start simultaneously. ATKT and final exam will start simultaneously from October 1st. Schools have been told that they can open from 21st of September, from 12th standard to 9th to 12th standard. All of you need to be prepared. You may be told to start coming and start conducting online classes from college and to be physically present in college. So please be mentally prepared to be called at any time. You may be called to do paper setting also. So I'm requesting that all of you please make the effort to be physically present in Mumbai as and when you are asked to come. Any other information about the exams? We are still waiting for circular from the university, which we have not got till now. I think some teachers have already got calls where they have been told that they may have to give multiple choice questions. The paper will be entirely on multiple choice. And you may be asked to give some 30 to 50 questions related to your particular papers. Please take a lot of care when you are setting multiple choice. It is not easy. An easy thing at all to set a good multiple choice question. Of course, university will instruct you on that. And so we are giving you this form. Please look at the form very carefully. If you have any suggestions, then Rikisha and Kansa will modify the form. So can you show the form?
Yeah, ma'am. They're asking the name of the students. They're asking the
We
what?
can't see the form. We can't see the form.
Yeah, ma'am, just a minute. Just a minute. Can you able to see now? Yes.
No.
I cannot able to share. Is there a problem?
Can Rikisha share it? If Rikisha has it.
Yes, ma'am, I will share.
Can you able to see a form?
Yes.
Yes? Yeah, ma'am. Ma'am, we are asking the name of the students, the WhatsApp number of the students, contact number of the students, because certain time students use both the number, contact number of parents, email address, and these are the classes we are taking
Just
first
little
year.
slowly, please scroll little slowly.
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay.
Ma'am, we are taking the data of the first year also, ma'am. So for our college level exam also we'll keep.
Yeah, but at the moment, first years will not be able to fill this in.